Back in the Roaring '20s, there was this silent but absolutely epic battle being fought on the high seas. And it wasn't about cannons or warships, not at all. It was about something way more fundamental: fuel. We're talking about a technological showdown that would basically define the future of global shipping, and it all went down right in the heart of the Panama Canal.
So you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? What fuel powered the world? But here's the thing. In the high stakes game of global shipping, the price you see on the sticker is almost never the price you actually pay. The real story, the one that matters, is kind of hidden in the nitty gritty economics of efficiency, labor, and most importantly, time. Okay, let's get into it. You have to remember, the Panama Canal wasn't just some waterway. It was a marvel of engineering, sure, but it was also a global crossroads, a choke point where every single decision could make or break a company. And probably the most critical decision a ship captain had to make was what to burn to get from one ocean to the other.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start at the energy crossroads of the time. Then we'll size up our three main contenders. You've got the old veteran, coal, the smart new challenger, fuel oil, and the one everyone was dreaming about, diesel. After that, we're going to expose this thing called the real cost trap before we look at the incredible legacy this whole duel left behind. Okay, so by the mid-1920s, the entire maritime world was standing at this historic turning point. I mean, steam power, fueled by coal, had been king for decades, but these new liquid fuels were starting to challenge the throne. And there was no better place to watch this all play out than the Panama Canal, which was really the epicenter of global trade. All right, first up, let's talk about the reigning champion: coal. For decades, this stuff was the literal lifeblood of the global fleet. It was established, it was reliable, and you could find it everywhere. On the surface, it seemed completely unbeatable. Okay, so let's break down the numbers here, because this is where it gets really interesting. Back in 1927, coal was cheap. We're talking somewhere around maybe $10 a ton. It had this massive, already built infrastructure, right? Coaling stations in every major port around the world. It was the safe bet, the known quantity. But, and this is a big but, its greatest strengths were hiding some pretty serious weaknesses. See, that low price tag came with a catch. A coal-fired ship needed a whole team of 4 to 6 guys, stokers, constantly shoveling coal into the furnaces. And refueling? They called it bunkering, and it was this dirty, grimy, all-day process that could take up to 12 hours. And the coal itself took up 30 to 40% more space than liquid fuel, space that you could have been using for cargo that actually makes you money. And that brings us perfectly to contender number 2, fuel oil. This was the new kid on the block, the modern, efficient challenger that was promising a total revolution in how ships operated. It was cleaner, way more compact, and honestly, it just packed a bigger punch. Now, looking at the stats, you can see the trade-off right away. Yeah, it costs more per ton, maybe around 12, 13 bucks. But just look at that energy quality. We're talking up to 40% more energy per pound than coal. And check out the refueling time, just 3 to 4 hours. A ship could be in and out of port in a fraction of the time. That's a huge deal. The advantages were an absolute game changer. No more stokers, which meant a smaller, cheaper crew. The faster turnaround meant you could squeeze in more voyages per year. And because the oil was just stored in tanks, it freed up tons of valuable space for cargo. So what was the catch? Well, it was the massive upfront investment. It cost $15,000 to $25,000 to convert a ship from coal, and that was a ton of money back then. And finally, that brings us to our third contender, diesel. This was the high-tech, super high-cost dream. It really represented the absolute pinnacle of marine engine technology at the time. It was a true vision of what the future could be. Technically, diesel was superior in every single way. It was over 50% more efficient than coal, needed an even smaller crew, and you could start it up instantly without waiting around for boilers to heat up. But that cost, it was just staggering. Up to $150,000 for a new engine. Plus, supply was really limited, and since it was such a new technology, it was a super risky bet for most ship owners. So all of this brings us to the most crucial point of our story. That sticker price for a ton of fuel, it was dangerously misleading. To really understand this battle, we have to look past that simple price per ton and uncover the real cost of running a ship. So if you just look at this chart right here, the choice seems pretty obvious, right? At an average of $9.50 a ton, coal looks like the clear winner against fuel oil's $12.50. And this is the exact trap that so many ship owners fell into. But this chart, It's missing the most important parts of the whole story.
So let's actually build the real cost of coal step by step. We start with that base price, $9.50. Okay, now let's tack on the cost of those extra stokers. That's about $1.20 per ton equivalent. Now add the cost of the ship just sitting there idle for half a day while it's refueling. That's another 80 cents. Then add extra maintenance for all that soot and ash, 60 cents. And here's the big one, the value of the cargo space you lost by carrying all that bulky coal, about $1.40.
Okay, now let's do the exact same thing for fuel oil. We start with its higher price, $12.50. But then we start subtracting. We save $1.50 on labor. Easy. We save another $1.20 because refueling is so much faster. And we gain a whopping $2.10 in value from all that extra cargo space we just opened up. And bam! Look at this. The tables have completely turned. The real all-in operational cost of coal was actually closer to $13.50 per ton, and the real cost of fuel oil? Just $8.20. It wasn't just competitive, it was over 30% cheaper when you factored everything in. This was the secret that the smart shipping lines were starting to figure out. There's this great quote from a veteran sea captain of the era, a guy named James Thompson, that just sums up this whole trade-off perfectly. He said, "The coal was like your wife, reliable but required constant work. The fuel oil was a sophisticated mistress, more expensive to keep but got you where you wanted to go faster." The year 1927 ended up being the big tipping point. You had this perfect storm of new oil discoveries down in Texas and Venezuela, and these intense price wars between the big oil suppliers. All of a sudden, the price of fuel oil just plummeted, and the switch from coal wasn't just a smart move anymore, it was basically irresistible. Take a look at this. This is the state of the global fleet in 1926. Coal was king, no question about it. It was powering 78% of the world's shipping tonnage. Fuel oil was just a distant second at 19%. Now watch what happens in just 1 year. Look at that shift. Coal's dominance drops by 7%, and fuel oil surges by that exact same amount. Now, in the slow-moving world of shipping, a 7% market swing in a single year, well, that's not evolution. That's a revolution. So, what are the big lessons from this whole story? Well, the Panama Canal showed us how a specific location can just amplify technological advantages. It also teaches us that these big transitions are often slow and gradual until all of a sudden they're not. And maybe most importantly, it proves that the sticker price is never the full story, and that the early adopters, the ones who see the real costs, are the ones who end up winning big. You know, there was this little piece of wisdom, a kind of proverb, that went around the docks at Cristobal back then that just captures the moment perfectly. It went, coal for yesterday, fuel oil for today, diesel for tomorrow. But in the canal, whoever arrives first with the best price takes the ship. It wasn't just about the fuel. It was about the total competitive edge that fuel gave you. This fuel duel from a century ago really leaves us with a powerful question, doesn't it? It teaches us to always look past that sticker price, to dig deeper and find the hidden costs and the hidden savings. So it's worth asking ourselves, in our own world, with all of its rapid technological change, what are the hidden costs we might be ignoring today?